I know John isn't a white nationalist off of this debate because John never advocated for a white ethnostate. Do you think and people on your side were racist towards John after the debate? Here we go. Here we're gonna get a little, I guess, controversial. Or I don't know if your chances. Oh my god, why are my parents like?
What happened?
My parents like start arguing or whatever.
Why would they do that? People viewed it as me like trying to destroy JonTron. I really wasn't. I don't know if you've listened to the whole thing or not, but like there were a few times where I tried to give him an out. Like my impression of him then and still today was just that like
this N-word straight up said to kill conservatives.
No, why the fuck would I?
I am Michael Alberto. I do video essays and documentaries on YouTube and TikTok. And I also stream on cozy.tv, which is a new free speech streaming platform. And you might know me from a video I did on Hunter Avalone and another video I've done on Nick Fuentes. And I'm doing one on JonTron now. And as we approach the 5-year anniversary, which is in a few days, of the infamous JonTron versus Destiny debate, I think this was a good time to schedule this debate. My video on JonTron, I'm estimating it's going to be like 3 hours long. The script is like 50 pages long. Goes over his whole career from like beginning to end. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything, you know?
Sure.
And yeah, so I got a big document. I got a lot of questions. Want to have a discussion with you about some of these things. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I want to see where you stand on some of these things, years later. If you agree on some things you said, you disagree. What you think about JonTron, now and all that stuff. And before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to Brittany from Politically Provoked for making this happen. I was trying to get a hold of Destiny like 2 months ago, and I couldn't do this, and she basically made this happen in like a day. So shout out to her. And
where were you trying to contact me before?
I sent you a Twitter DM. Then my Twitter account got suspended because I joined.
I get so many random Twitter DMs. I don't always check them.
So then I sent you an email. That didn't work. I contacted one of your moderators on Twitter, and they told me just do the email. Then I sent another email. Didn't go anywhere. And now I went through Brittany, and here we are.
Oh, well, damn. Well, good job. You got it done. You figured it out.
I had to, man. I had to. If I can't get JonTron, I got to get Destiny for an interview. So I wrote down a little bit of like what I think of John regarding this debate. So I guess some of you guys can have like a general idea of what I think, because I'm assuming most of you people don't know who I am. So I said John and Destiny had a debate regarding mostly immigration. With a debate like this also comes the topics of race, other topics being the state of Western society. Going through the data, the topic of immigration is pretty split and divisive. The now removed like to dislike ratio on the YouTube upload of the debate on Destiny's channel shows this, as it was around 50-50 if I remember it correctly. Interestingly enough, a lot of people either forgot this happened or don't know about it because I did like a reaction stream. And like so many people in my chat had no idea that this happened. They didn't know John was, I guess, based or whatever. And I have a Gallup poll of immigration data if you want that. I guess I'll send that over if you want to show it on stream. The debate frequently hops around from argument to argument and is all over the place. It's very hard to summarize and make a TLDR. At the time afterwards, John will release a video response in which he brushes off a lot of the things he said. It's just phrasing it awkwardly. There was backlash from the mainstream media, and he did lose a lot of subs. But after some time had passed, he would return, and his career would continue to advance with the release of his famous flex tape video, which I think has like 80 million views now. It's fucking crazy. In more recent times, people have come back to this debate. I forget the guy's name. It's like Cav or something. I don't know the guy's name. Come back to the debate and made videos proclaiming it to be much worse than they remember. They claim John is a neo-Nazi, white nationalist, white supremacist, and he was promoting the great replacement theory or whatever. My position is John's performance, while not the best, is nowhere near as bad as people act like it is. And what he said doesn't make him any of those ideologies, nor was he promoting the great replacement. My analysis is John is a reactionary, not some mostly apolitical or centrist guy who just likes to occasionally, own the libs. You get some people like that, you know what I'm talking about? They don't really talk politics, but occasionally they own the libs on Twitter.
Sure.
His worldview seems to be almost entirely motivated by a negative reaction of what the political left was doing at the time, and he has proven to still have reactionary beliefs on Twitter with his takes on vaccines and memes on election legitimacy. I don't know if you remember those controversies, but those happened.
I didn't even realize he tweeted shit related to election legitimacy.
Yeah, he tweeted out like anybody else a fan of this store, and it was Banana Republic, and it was like right after the election happened.
Okay.
So that was like a meme tweet he made. So my goal is I'd like to get, your thoughts on the debate half a year later, or half a decade, I should say. I want to see where you stand on things. My video will go more into specific things John said and like what I think of it. As I disagree with some of the things he said or just how he said them, I suppose we can talk about that. But my main focus here is just gathering info for my video and having an entertaining stream. So are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, do you have any like general statements you want to say beforehand?
No, probably better to just get into it because there's like a lot of different stuff to theoretically talk about, right?
All right. So do you think John is any of those labels I mentioned earlier, and why?
I have a really hard time ascribing like a really radical ideology to somebody unless I know they spent a lot of time thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like somebody that JonTron always came off to me as like somebody that just probably spent, in my opinion, because obviously my politics are pretty far left, probably just spent a little bit too much time in like certain like 4chan groups, because a lot of the stuff that he was saying seemed like it was echoing stuff that came out of the politics board, or stuff that would have been like on the Donald subreddit. But I don't know if he's like a hardcore, like a very strong political ideology, done a lot of reading and everything. Yeah, so that was always just kind of like my take on it, was somebody that just started reading too much of like these particular types of memes, got into these communities, and then started repeating their talking points.
All right. Because in my video, I kind of talk about how I think this narrative is kind of wrong about JonTron. Because even if you go back to the Tales of Super John, which was a video he released in like 2008 or whatever, he was making political jokes then, and I pulled up some other examples of him making political jokes in his videos. So I don't know.
Yeah, but like, are they political jokes that require a lot of political insight, or are they political jokes that are just kind of like repeating the memes at the time? So, for example, today, so I would have argued that like 4 to 5 years ago, it was kind of this like alt-right / far-right / reactionary / anti-SJW, whatever you want to call it, like this like group of conservative views was kind of like the edgy, funny thing to be online. Today, I would say that it's more like kind of this very far left stuff is not like the edgy, fun stuff to be online. So there's a lot of people these days, big content creators like Ethan from H3H or Linus from Linus Tech Tips. These guys are tweeting a lot of political stuff, but I would hardly consider them like political people because they're just not very informed on the issues. They're just kind of like repeating the memes of the day. Even though I could give you a lot of tweets of like Linus talking about socialism or Ethan has Hassan on a podcast or whatever,
All right, because I mean, he kind of, I don't know like how much he actually knew about Gamergate. He claims he didn't really know really understand it, but I don't know, he could have been like hiding his power level or anything. But he was kind of like memeing on Zoe Quinn in 2014, and he had like jokes kind of poking fun at Nazis or whatever in his videos. So I guess you could say like there were political jokes that most people would probably like not have an issue with. Like I don't think anyone's gonna care if you make fun of Adolf Hitler or anything.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know. I just think the whole narrative that he was like never political at all is not correct.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but I mean, like again, like everybody had opinions about Gamergate, even if you had no idea what anything related to Gamergate was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I also put I know John isn't a white nationalist off of this debate because John never advocated for a white ethnostate, and I said he isn't alt-right because he was never pro Richard Spencer for as far as we know. And I think the accusations of him being a white supremacist or Nazi are laughable. Do you agree with me?
For me, I would say that he probably echoed a lot of their like talking points, but to say that somebody's like a white nationalist or white supremacist, my bar is pretty high for stuff like that.
I agree.
Yeah, like even people get triggered when I say shit like this. I don't know if you're like alt-right or how far right you are, so I don't know how much I say is going to trigger you, but people get mad because
I like you, Destiny. I have a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, okay. I'm uncomfortable even calling somebody like Ben Shapiro like super racist because like I don't really think there's the evidence to support that. But some people will just say like, oh well, you're conservative, so you're probably racist, or oh well, you're really worried about non-white immigration. You're a white supremacist. Like I don't really know if I buy into that. Like I've talked to white supremacists and I've talked to really racist people, and I think that there are like distinct differences between these types of people. people. So yeah, I've never, not to say, to be clear, maybe JonTron was all of those things, but if he was, I just hadn't seen enough to actually know that. Like, that's not my takeaway or my feeling in my head about it, that like, oh yeah, he's definitely a white supremacist, racist, Nazi or whatever.
Another reason why I don't buy that is because, John he's like half Asian, correct? He's Iranian and Hungarian. So he's half Asian.
Yeah,
half
but I mean,
white.
it's easy for certain groups to, yeah, that is true. Yeah, well, I'll just say, yeah.
Well, I know some people are gonna pull up like, oh, well, what about this person who is supposedly like a white nationalist or anything, like Fuentes, like, oh, this guy's supposedly a white nationalist, he's like a quarter Mexican or whatever. I don't know, I still don't buy that, but
Sure.
do you? Okay, I wrote this weirdly. I should have double checked this one. Do you think and people on your side were racist towards John after the debate?
If they were, I didn't see it. It's possible somebody was, but I never saw any of that.
Because when you were during his debate with him, you kind of kept bringing up like the fact that he was like half Iranian. That's kind of like an own or anything.
Oh, well, because it seemed like during the debate he was talking about like the importance of protecting our country from certain types of immigrants. I don't remember if he specifically said brown immigrants or not, but I know we talked about
Mexicans.
Like Mexican, yeah, and whatnot. It just seems strange that somebody who's in the United States and benefiting largely from our pretty diverse immigration culture would be so like anti-immigrant, I think was like the purpose of bringing that up.
Yeah, but do you think that could come off as like racist or anything?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. Like my mom, half of my family is Cuban. I argue with my mom a lot about like immigration and stuff. And I'll bring up oftentimes that she was like when she talks about our family that illegally immigrated from Cuba to the United States, she's like really proud of it. It's like we escaped Fidel Castro. It was like super big. Some of us came over alone. It's like, okay, cool. But like, why is it that when you talk about Mexicans, you're like super derogatory towards them, but you're like really congratulatory or celebratory of our like Cuban past? That seems really strange to me. So I don't know. I think there are times where it's like worth pointing out that like maybe somebody's position is incongruent or hypocritical.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, so we're done with that question. Oh, and you said something about a meme in his ethnicity in a debate aftermath with Fuentes. I think you said he wouldn't be a free person in like the 1800s or something like that. What do you think about that?
I don't know about free person. I might have said white person. I think that our like the concept of what we consider like white has kind of changed a little bit over the years. But so I might have said that. I don't know if JonTron would have ever been a slave. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
I said a lot of crazy shit to Nick, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen.
It was in the debate aftermath, I think, after the second immigration debate I was watching, and you brought him up, and I kind of thought it was a little funny because it's kind of like how nuclear it kind of came off as.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and listen to it. Me and
Yes.
Nick have had some pretty hardcore back and forths.
Yeah, it's always good content. You're gonna be doing another one soon.
I thought I was going to see him in Texas for a Killstream debate, but apparently I don't want to make anything up. I don't know if he canceled or something came up, or maybe he was never going to be there and Ralph lied about it. But yeah, I don't know. Or Ethan lied about it. I'm not sure.
All right. Because I remember, I mean, this is public knowledge. I can say this. I think I had Chud Logic reach out to you about a debate, and I was gonna moderate it. And we were going to host it on Cozy. It was going to be like you, Chud Logic, somebody else versus Nick.
Oh, yeah. This is like a month or two ago, right?
Yeah. I tried to set this up.
I think he brought it up, but I think he gave me the first topic, and I was like, this sounds so boring. Like, get a different topic, and we can do it.
Yeah, that's what he said. I think, big tech censorship. And then I think...
Yeah. Because it's going to be one where we all agree on everything. Like, oh, yeah, big tech censorship. That sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, so now that we're in contact, I can try to come up with a better topic with you. If you're still interested in doing that, maybe we can get Avalone in there too or someone. But here's another question I got. Do you or would you consider yourself a castizo futurist? I need to explain this like meme term to you.
A castizo futurist. What is this, like Hispanic people from Spain that are in the United States could be part of the white race?
That's the meme. It's like a right-wing meme term. But I wrote down castizo futurism is the idea that through race mixing, fully white people and like Hispanics can become like their children can become white. As the
oh, great. So it's like the opposite of the 1 drop meme. It's like an 85 drop meme or something.
Yeah, something like that. In the video, I kind of meme about that because John's comments about assimilation into the gene pool kind of sound like that. But then I also point out another comment you made in a debate with conservative Nick Fuentes. It sounded like something you said could sound like that because to paraphrase, in the debate, you said John would have not been considered white at one point, even though now he would be considered white.
I think that just has to do more with like the shifting cultural kind of like expectations for who's considered like white. Like I think like 200 or 300 years ago, I think like the whitest people were pretty exclusively Anglo-Saxons, and there were other people that I think today we would all look at and be like, oh, that person's white. I don't know if they would have had the same considerations like 200 or 300 years ago.
Yeah, because didn't like Ben Franklin not consider like certain people white or whatever?
I think the term he used, I think, was like swarthy complexion.
Swarthy complexion. No idea what that even means, but that's pretty funny. So one disagreement you had that was even being shared on Twitter before the debate, because now we're gonna get into the debate itself, was John's admiration of Japan. Hold on one second. Hold on. I thought I turned text to speech off. Okay. Okay, I think I fixed that now. So one disagreement you had that was being shared on Twitter before the debate was John's admiration of Japan, as he views it as a model society. You argue on Twitter and on stream when he brought it up was simply, we are not Japan. So I want to get more of your thought process kind of like behind this argument. And is it wrong to look at other countries and see them doing better in certain aspects and not try to copy it?
No, I mean, I think we can look to other countries if we want, but I mean, other countries are going to have different value systems and they're going to have different reasons for doing what they do. So I don't know if it's necessarily good to say like, oh, well, they do that, therefore we should do that. It's not always invalid to draw those comparisons. But I mean, in terms of like saying that like Japan is doing really well because they try to maintain a really high level of ethnic homogeneity, I mean, I don't think there's any evidence to support that at all. Like if you look at Japan today, like that's a pretty miserable population who's like has a massively aging labor force. And then culturally, there are a lot of weird problems related to like mental health issues, depression, people not fucking women. Like, yeah, I don't know if like I look at Japan society like that's the society that I want to copy. Like they're doing really, really, really well.
Well, I mean, I know they have problems with the hikikomori types of people. I don't know if you know, like what that is. I had to explain that to you.
No idea. What is that?
The hikikomori, if I'm even saying it right, are like a group of Japanese. I think there's over like a million of them projected to be in Japan, where they literally do not leave their house. They never leave their house. They stay in for months at a time. They are completely walled off from society.
Mm-hmm.
They're
okay,
kind of like
I've
the
heard
NEETs.
of the concept. I didn't know that was the name. But
they're
yeah,
like even hardcore NEETs. That's what they are. And there's like over a million of them living lonely. Which I think Japan. Every country has issues. Japan has that issues. They have like loneliness issues. They have other problems like that. But I would say it's a much safer society, and it has. I would say, would you agree? Asia and Europe, they have like better like. I think you made an argument like this. They have like better technology than us. In terms of like transportation and things like that, better cities, things like that.
Yeah, but it just has to do with like the culture of America in terms of like wanting to drive cars and how our cities are built and everything. I don't know if that has to do with like immigration or not.
It's true. But would you agree with John that it's a model society?
A model society? No, probably not in every way, no.
No? All right.
I mean, there might be. I'm sure every country has some things that they do well. Japan's public transport is like second to none in the world, I've heard. So I mean, like that's probably a good thing to copy if we wanted to.
Because I like Japan. They make good art. They got cool trains and whatever. Cool cities, cool culture. I like them. I'm a weeb if you couldn't tell.
Sure.
But okay. So 4 minutes into the debate, you claim America was not a European country, but then you kind of like contradicted yourself by saying, most of the people there were like Irish or Italian or whatever. And you did a similar thing when you said the Irish were not considered white, but then you contradicted yourself again and you said they were. And because you called Irish people, they're like, oh, they were called the white. Am I allowed to? I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to get you in trouble.
So I think the issue is, so when I said earlier that they're not European, I think that as Americans, I don't know where John is John like born and raised in America, or did he immigrate?
Yeah, he was born. It's like some Hispanic city in California. I had to like Google how you say it. It's like 20 syllables long. It's crazy.
Gotcha. So I think the issue is that something that we do as Americans, and we even do this like retrospectively, But even modern day Americans have this concept of like European that I don't even think Europeans today have, like a concept of like European. Like there are pretty distinct regions in Europe, whether we're talking about like the Baltics, the Balkans, Southern Europe, Western Europe, Scandinavia. The idea that there's just this like the one cohesive group called like Europeans, I think is an American invention. And then we even like retroactively apply that as an invention, which is really weird because like back then, 250 years ago, like these motherfuckers are killing themselves, invading themselves, destroying themselves constantly. And the idea that like everybody that came from quote unquote Europe saw themselves as Europeans is absolutely not true. Like the vast majority of people in the United States, if I had to guess, I haven't researched specifically, they probably thought themselves as British. They're probably British people primarily. It was a British colony, right? With I'm sure a couple other people sprinkled in. But I don't think they saw themselves as like, oh yeah, we're Europeans. Maybe in terms of contrast to natives, they saw themselves as like old world versus new world or something. But no, not this concept of like, oh yeah, we're all Europeans together, like as European white people. The French, the Germanic peoples, the Anglo, we're all the same. I think that's a modern day invention.
Okay. So I guess it's like kind of like an autistic semantics thing, because the way you said it made it imply that these people did not like consider themselves European, but like at all.
I mean,
But the way
like, there wasn't a European classification. It would kind of be like saying like I don't even know how I would compare it. Fuck. But no, I don't think they would have all seen themselves like, oh yeah, we're all the same, we're European. But as Americans today, I think even Fuentes, I mean, he's probably gotten a little bit sharper with his rhetoric. But like back then, he had this concept, or it seems like he would say like, oh yeah, like these people all saw themselves as Europeans as opposed to like brown, Hispanic people. It was like, no, I don't think that all Europeans were united like that, especially not 250 years ago. Absolutely not. And even today, they're not.
All right. So I see where you're coming from. Okay. So then I wrote down 12 minutes into debate, you proclaim the middle class is growing when there's evidence it's shrinking. I want to know your thoughts on like why you thought this, or if you still think this, and I can link you a New York Times citation for this claim.
I don't know. I'd have to know the context for what I was talking about. Or do you have like the back and forth, like the quote or whatever?
Yeah, it's 12 minutes into the debate. I can link you the debate, and you can just fast forward to 12 minutes. JonTron Debate. Check Discord. I was pretty accurate when I was writing down like the timestamp, so if you just fast forward to 12 minutes, it should be right there.
All right, hold on, let me listen.
Even if you're a selfish person, this benefits you. Why are you moving to the United States and not staying in Iran? Probably because
the concept is more people than ever moving into middle classes all around the world has to do with the overall reduction of global poverty, which I think has been reducing at a pretty steady rate for the past several decades.
All right.
I probably shouldn't have said middle classes. I should have said moving out of poverty would be a better thing. But it wouldn't surprise me if worldwide there are more people moving into middle class as well. I mean, actually, that's almost certainly true because of everything that's happened in China alone, and their numbers would dwarf everybody else's. But I think in general, it's probably true.
Okay. I'm sorry if this is getting a little too nitpicky, but I gotta like make sure my shit's right for my script, which is subject to change. If
no problem. I'm sure there are things in here that I've said that I probably don't agree with anymore, or I wasn't correct on at the time. I'm not perfect, so there's stuff in here.
Yeah, well, I got a few more notes we can go over, and then you can tell me what you think. So John seems throughout this debate to think the world is going to shit, and you didn't at the time. Do you think the world has gone to shit since then? Is it all come tumbling down like in Evangelion?
No, I don't think so. I think there are definitely problems, but I don't think the world is going to shit. No, but I mean, like I can understand. I mean, the past 3 years especially have been incredibly, or I should say, the past 2 years, I guess, have been very challenging for sure.
Yeah, because like it was kind of like in the debate, you had like a very optimistic like view of the future. So I also kind of
I think holistically around the world, there's an optimistic view. Maybe sometimes as a Westerner, it might not necessarily feel that way, but as a whole, the world's improving a ton. And we also don't really have good perspective on things as well. Like now we're finally getting a taste of like real worldwide conflict, but like boomers before us lived through the Cold War, which was really scary. So I mean, we don't like. For a lot of kids today, like really bad stuff happening is like getting banned on Twitter, or really bad stuff happening might be like, Chester from Linkin Park kills. Like these are like the tragedies of today. It just kind of, I guess it just kind of depends on. I guess it's just a perspective thing. Yeah.
All right. So, but do you think the world has gotten worse since 2017? Do you think we're on an up or downward spiral?
Since 2017, I could see there being a big roadblock. I think the coronavirus shit has fucked the past 2 years like pretty hardcore.
Okay, so do you think John was lucky in his predictions, or do you think this was just inevitable and was sped up by the pandemic?
Well, I don't think he made a prediction. I think he said at that time that the world was already
Yeah, going
fucked.
downhill, but it getting worse. Do you think he was just lucky and like, or do you think it was like inevitable and like you were wrong?
No, I mean, I don't even necessarily think the world is getting worse. Like, I think in 10 years we'll be way better than we are now, and there will be that continual upward like trend will continue.
Hopefully, all we can do is hope for the best, right, Dustin?
Maybe, yeah. Like if you ask me like 2009 or 2008, is the world getting worse right after the recession? Like, oh yeah, fuck. Or like if you ask me 2001 after 9/11, it's like, oh yeah, fuck, you know. But
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the gas prices are gonna keep like I think going on for. I don't know. I'm not like an expert in all that stuff.
yeah, maybe we'll see.
So hope for the best. 16 minutes in, you talk about how quote unquote literal Nazis and white supremacists, end quote, are defending John. He then turns it back on you and talks about communists in your community, in which you act confused. In a later video on your channel titled Gays Within, that clip opens up the video but slowly becomes distorted before a highlight reel of you arguing with lefties starts playing. So kind of like, what are your thoughts about this?
So you said I act confused, but I remember this quote at the time because a lot of people tried to act like I was defending communism, which I'm not. I never was. I think what I asked him is what's wrong with communism because I wanted to know what his issue was or what the point of that comparison was. Because there are some memes about like, oh, like communism killed 100 million people, and then there might just be memes like, oh, communism is like big government. I don't like that, or I just wanted to know what his answer was to that, but I don't think he ever answered me when I asked like, well, what's wrong with communism? And then I think when I said that, some people like Sargon took that to mean that like I was a huge fan of communism and I was like trying to stand for it or defend it or whatever.
All right. But do you think you were turning a blind eye to communists and socialists in your community? Because like that clip was played in your video on your channel as kind of like JonTron
Maybe, yeah. I didn't
vindicated.
think that like I didn't think that people were seriously communist or socialists. That's insanely cringe to me. But I mean, like I figured it out like a couple years later, and then I fucking did what a good lefty does, and I purged them all.
Yeah, when you had these people that like spawned from your community, like Vosh or whatever.
Uh,
Are you and Vosh? You're still fighting, correct? From my understanding.
I'm not sure at this particular point in time. It's always up to their mood, so who knows?
All right. Well, we'll just see what happens. At 18 minutes and 20 seconds, you guys are talking about riots in the street in which you denied that it was happening. How do you feel about that now, especially after that clip about you talking about white militiamen?
I think that the overall impression that I was pushing back on was the like I'm sure you can find a riot or there were like scattered protests or whatever, but I think JonTron specifically said in this conversation a few times like Europe is on fire, which I don't think was ever true. And I think that sometimes you've got some people. I remember the time famously like Lauren Southern would go and film like a street or whatever, and you'd see like a protest, and people would think that like all of Europe is like lost to conflict and riots and everything, and like. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to make a statement, and maybe this is incorrect, but it wouldn't surprise me if the BLM riots in the United States for the year that they happened were more violent than, or like caused more damage or whatever, than like all the riots in like a 5-year time period from like 2015 to 2020 in Europe.
Pretty ballsy statements to make there. Well, I'm not too sure about it, but I think that's kind of based. But
Okay.
so yeah, I guess that wraps up that question I had for you. So, do you think he was kind of vindicated on that point or whatever? Because he was always talking about like riots in the streets and.
No, I don't think there were a ton of riots in Europe ever. I don't think this happened. No, did it?
I mean, I'm not like a European expert or anything. I'm just an autist who makes internet history
Gotcha.
videos.
No, I don't think that I don't think that all the doomsday predictions about Europe ever came true. No.
All right, you've been to Europe, correct?
Lots of times, unfortunately. Yeah.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
Well, one, you have to be near Europeans, but two, I get jealous of some of the shit they have because our fucking shit is fucked in America sometimes.
How come you don't move there? I mean, you got the money. You could probably do that.
Because then I'd have to live near Europeans.
I don't think they're that bad. Maybe the British are bad.
All of them are horrible.
But I don't know. I think if I lived with my fellow Portuguese, I think I'd be all right.
Oh, yeah.
But a common thing you guys argue about is the changing white demographics in America. So here we go. Here we're gonna get a little, I guess, controversial. Or I don't know if your chances. Oh my god, why are my parents like?
What happened?
My parents like start arguing or whatever.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Yeah, now my chat's gonna start spamming, Mom. I'm trying to do a racist live stream. Leave me alone. So a common thing you guys argue about is the changing white demographics in America. Do you think it's racist for white Americans to want to resist this change, like John asserts you do? Do you still agree that your skin color, or rather race, isn't important?
No, I think obsessing over that is kind of cringe, and people that are like obsessed with trying to maintain some skin color, I think it's pretty cringe.
Well, see, I would kind of like disagree with you on that because I don't know, because your race and your identity is like something. Oh my fucking god! Hold on.
Yeah, you can chill. I don't know what this mana bank does.
Okay, I'm back. I love my Hispanic parents. Love my Hispanic parents. Okay, we're back.
Those are pretty quiet for Hispanic parents. So.
Really? I don't know. That sounds
Unless
louder.
if they're louder, then I can't. Yeah, maybe I can't hear because the mic is cutting off. So.
Hispanic households, right, Destiny?
True.
Yeah, I saw some of your debates with your mom.
Yeah.
Debating mom in her kitchen. That title is so keck. It's pretty good. But okay, so let me get back to my expert question. Is there anything morally wrong with wanting to keep the country majority white?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's kind of weird.
All right. Because I don't know, I mean, I'm not considered, I guess, like a non-Hispanic white, but I don't know. So do you think there's something wrong with countries in like Japan like keeping themselves the way they are, or what are we doing?
I don't. It's just so hard to speak about like other countries because they have like totally different histories, peoples, values. Like that's why I say like I don't want to speak for like I'm not here to say like what a particular country should do with their shit. I can only really speak for the United States. But as a country that doesn't really have like an ethnic center, unless you want to say Anglo-Saxon, I think it's kind of weird to try to fixate on a particular fictitious ethnicity because white isn't an ethnicity, right? And say that like we have to maintain that. I think it's kind of weird.
I don't think it's that weird. I can see like I don't know if maybe you want to disagree with it, but I don't think I would consider that weird. But I don't know, I guess agree to disagree.
Sure.
Some of the things you talk about being good are immigrants coming here for work. Specifically, you point to Asians in Silicon Valley. I wanted to know why you kind of think this is a good thing. Do you think these jobs should rather be taken by Americans who already live here?
I don't think there's enough Americans to work all the jobs that we could have. Like, it seems like we constantly need more labor in the country. Immigration's an easy way to shore that up.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like, I'm not like an economics expert, but I would imagine the more supply you have, the more money the people in the country would make, no? So wouldn't we want to keep, like, less people in the, like, keep people out so the value of the labor goes up?
I mean, you can do that, and superficially, I think it works over a very short term. But I think the reality is that the more labor you have, the more jobs that can be created. So, like, you might be able to make whole new businesses and do things as well. The interplay between like labor supply and demand is very, very, very complicated, and it's been studied and argued about back and forth by economists for a long time. In terms of like what is the effect of a lot of immigrants, what is the effect of like do more people affect the wages paid to laborers or not? I think it's a really complicated interplay there. But I think when we start to run out of labor, I think it has a lot of negative effects on us.
All right. So I kind of get your viewpoint now a little bit better. Do you think America is going to continue? Because this was like kind of, I think, an argument John was making. But do you think America is going to continue to become more divided on the lines of race and ethnicity, or will it, or is it going to improve? So, what are your thoughts on that?
I have no idea right now. Everything seems pretty fucked right now. So who knows?
Where do you think we stand right now? Do you think we're more divided than we were maybe like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I think the internet is playing a huge like role in that, you know, like we're incentivized today in ways we never have been before to keep people not divided, but like really entertained with hardcore divisive political content.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But because do you remember when Twitter Spaces first opened up and it was like a race war like every day on Twitter Spaces?
Yeah, I saw stuff about this. Yeah,
that was pretty crazy. It kind of felt like the old internet for a minute because it wasn't moderated at all. Mm-hmm. You just get these big Twitter Spaces of like 10,000 people. I remember there was one, it was like Israelis versus Palestinians, and they were just screaming at each other. And it was quite the experience to catch that live. What do you think about this whole, I guess, debate nowadays?
What debate?
The JonTron debate. What do you think about it, like, in retrospect?
I I mean, I guess career-wise, it was good for me. I'm a little bit disappointed that people view it on both sides. People viewed it as me like trying to destroy JonTron. I really wasn't. I don't know if you've listened to the whole thing or not, but like there were a few times where I tried to give him an out. Like my impression of him then and still today was just that like I thought that he'd listened to a lot of really dumb shit online, and I just kind of wanted to like challenge him a little bit on it. My goal was never to like out him as a white supremacist or white nationalist or destroy his career or any cringe shit like that. But a lot of people on the left and right take it that way. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like an unfortunate, I guess, side effect. Do you think he was treated unfairly by the media and by the left and people like that?
I mean, I would say yes, but I think everybody is. But I think that the media and the cancel culture and all that shit is like ultra hardcore cringe and everything.
All right. Did you know even know who John was? Did you have an opinion on his content beforehand or an opinion on him at all?
I didn't that side of the internet. I didn't really spend much time on. But I don't think I didn't dislike his content or anything. So I just didn't have a strong opinion.
All right. So, what do you think of him now, though? Again,
probably still the same. I don't know. I watched a couple of his videos since then. It seems like a decently funny guy. Like I don't know. I don't get like really personal over like political shit. Like I fucking hate him because he's a white nationalist, right? Like I don't feel that way.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I guess we're kind of like done here. I mean, I kind of ran through all my questions. I'm surprised this went by pretty quickly. I have an off-topic question if you want to answer that, and we can talk a little bit about just like I don't know anything really.
Sure,
So
maybe.
off topic. Why didn't you think Tenrio was black?
Tenrio?
Tenrio. He super chatted you one day, or I think he super chatted Politically Provoked to ask you a question. And he said, as a black man, and you said he wasn't black and he was a white person, he was lying.
Oh,
But,
probably. I say that about anytime somebody starts off as like as a woman, it's probably a guy. As a black man, it's probably a white. I don't know. But it's politically provoked. I could have said some crazy shit. Who knows? Or maybe he didn't vote for Joe Biden, so he couldn't have been black. You know? Who knows?
I've met Tenrio in person. I can confirm that Tenrio is black.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
So I got a few, I guess, super chat questions for you if you want to go through these real quick. Ask Destiny when he's coming to Cozy.
Who knows? Maybe when I get permaban from Twitch one day, and I'm super desperate, we'll see.
You can be the
But
first.
probably not.
Can be the first libtard on Cozy.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And do you still want to kill all conservatives?
I've never wanted to kill all conservatives, but
So where does that claim come from? Because I've heard that before.
there was some discussion. It was a philosophical discussion on the justification of violence against the state. And I think I was saying that I could understand a justification where people that are in fear of being like deported by the government because people are going to change up policies might have some sort of like ethical justification for violence against like people enacting things through like ballot box voting.
All right.
But I think that that's like a really strange. I never said that like we should go kill conservatives because technically you can run that back in a lot of different ways, right? Like if conservatives felt like they were under attack by lefties because of like prison reform or something, like could they justify violence against lefties? You know, like there's a lot of weird stuff in terms of like how can you hold individuals responsible for the action of the state, but if the state gets its power from individuals, there's a lot of weird shit in there.
Yeah. Now my chat's getting mad at you. Fuck no. This N-word straight up said to kill conservatives.
No, why the fuck would I? There was some clip. Somebody made some weird thing a long time ago where I was demonstrating something with my Glock. I don't even remember. They actually sent this to the FBI. I had to talk to the FBI about this because somebody overlaid that conversation that I had with me with my gun on stream, making it sound like I was going to go and murder conservatives. Yeah, I don't know. Also, fuck whoever said that. I'm like the most open person in terms of like all my views and shit. Like everything I believe is out there. I'm not hiding from any random dipshit in a chat. If I ever said kill all conservatives, I'll own it. I don't give a fuck. I've said a lot of crazy shit in the past, but no, I never say that like we should kill all like a group of people. It would be fucking disastrous. And if you've ever heard me talk about this shit a million times, I've always said like liberals or Democrats or lefties in the United States should absolutely not want any type of big uprising or civil war because no offense, I'm not going to think that the guys with like fucking, you know, blue hair and 52 piercings and dog masks are going to be winning the civil war against a bunch of rednecks that have like 52 rifles in their basement to hunt people with. Okay, like that's a stupid concept. Yeah,
It's a pretty easy victory. You got the rooftop Koreans, you got the white rednecks.
yeah.
That's a pretty easy victory. Kai Clips, popular TikTokers, asked, "What's your favorite piece of music? Classical music?"
My favorite. I honestly, God, I don't like a lot of like classical music. I like a lot of I like a lot of romantic era music. There's a C# Prelude, I think, by Rachmaninoff. It is huge chords. It's such an awesome piece. That would probably be my favorite one. But I can listen to a lot of random stuff from like, I can't pronounce it, but like Liszt, the guy that did like piano eludes, and then a lot of Chopin stuff, and a lot of like mid to late era Beethoven stuff. I think is interesting. But
Yeah, my favorite would be Jesus Joy of Man's Desiring. I know that's like a basic take or whatever.
okay.
But it's good. It fit the scene perfectly in a certain anime movie that I'm sure everybody knows I'm referring to right now.
Gotcha.
So you got anything else you wanted to talk about regarding JonTron, or like statements he's made or anything like that, or questions for me or anything?
I don't think so. Are you a gryper? Are you allowed to say it if you are? Or
I wouldn't
are you
consider
guys-
myself a gryper now.
Okay.
But I was offered the slot on Cozy so I could host a debate between Nick and Hunter Avalon, but that never ended up. I don't think that's ever gonna happen at this point. Or I don't know, maybe
Where do
Hunter.
you
Oh, go on.
where do you stand like politically, I guess?
I would say I'm like culturally, I guess, right leaning, but I have like I guess some lefty, I guess, economic viewpoints or whatever.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's
third
like
position kind of.
no, I wouldn't say that.
I don't
No,
know. Okay.
I don't even know what the third position really is. Isn't it like a fascist ideology or something like that?
I'm gonna be totally honest. I've debated a lot of them, and I'm not even sure. I think it's just like very conservative social values combined with like more left-leaning economic ideas. Isn't that the third position?
I don't know. I'm not too, I guess, knowledgeable on esoteric meme ideologies or anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, now everybody's calling me a traitor in my chat, telling me to go join APU or whatever. Fuck you guys. I'm just going through my document and going through my script, see if I got anything else I want to say. I guess I'll just show my shit real quick. Check out my YouTube channel, Michael Alberto. I made a 1 hour video on both the career of Hunter Avalon, an hour one on the career and life of Nick Fuentes. I'm gonna be doing this one on JonTron, which is gonna be 3 hours. I'm honored to have come on Destiny stream and get to talk to him for a little bit. And yeah, thank you for contributing to my video, Destiny. It means a lot. I respect you a lot. And JonTron, if you're watching this, hit me up, man. I'll drive to anywhere in New England to interview you. I know you live here. I'll go anywhere. I'll go to the fucking tip of Maine if I really need to. And yeah.
All right. Well, hey, have fun. Thanks for the talk, and I'll see you later, buddy.
07. Peace.